Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, the Nui channel. Today's video is going to be a review of the Netflix series Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. Today we're covering episode 3 and 4. So, right now, my life is it's a bit of a mess, and I don't really know what I'm going to do at the end of this month. But for now, this show serves as a welcome distraction, and it's keeping my mind away from some very depressing and bleak thoughts about the future. So I mentioned after the first episode that I didn't care for the acting in the episode, but what I forgot to mention is that my opinion totally changed by the second episode, and now I'm on the third episode. It's not even something I can criticize. They are their characters as far as I'm concerned. And I still skip past the opening song because I don't like it. But that's something else. So this episode picks up where the last one ended. The king and Kang Mokju are standing next to the cage that holds Yeonjiang and Gilgam and almost mocking them. Mokju is very observant, and I think she notices that the king treats Yeonjiang differently. He's still a punk though, so when Yeonjiang says she's scared and in unfamiliar surroundings, he puts a cloth over her head so she doesn't have to see her surroundings. So the king is getting treated for the arrow wound after that. That's from the assassin in the first episode. When Yeonjiang treated the wound with the Vaseline, she left the arrow tip in since removing it would cause more bleeding. But when the physicians at the palace removed the arrow, Mokju is there and she steals the arrow tip. And by the way, I love her hairstyle. If this is how they styled it in ancient times, I just wonder how it's achieved. It's like a braid that wraps around her head like a crown, but it's not flat. It sticks out and it's thick. I wonder if they achieved the look of it in ancient times with natural hair. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me. So she's very pretty, but she also looks cruel as well. And she also has a cruel sounding voice. It's like, imagine being an actress and they typecast you as a villain solely based on your face. Like, I'm sure she's a great actress, but it probably helps that she does look like she fits this role. So Mokju waits until the physicians leave, and then she asks what's the king's intentions with Yeonji-young. So Yeon Hagen asks her if she's jealous, and she tries to act unbothered. I'm kind of curious how she's going to react to Yeonji-young's cooking though. Later, when she's with her court ladies, she asks them to gather information for her about Yeonji-young, who's currently in the palace prison with Gilgam. They tell her to ask the chief secretary, and he's the same guy, the Chaehong inspector from episode 2. She also gives one of the ladies the arrowhead and asks her to get it to the prince. And I'm assuming that this is going to be the king's brother. So I thought the chief secretary was in Mokju's pocket, which is also what I think she thinks. But then after he talks to her, he has a private aside with his father and explains that he's tired of being used by her, and it looks like he has a new plan to make Yeonji-young the consort instead of her. The next scene is very confusing. It's night now, and there's a man with a red mask that frees Gilgam and Ji-young from the prison. And this is like that scene from Avatar The Last Airbender when Zuko frees Aang, but in this case, he takes them to like a festival thing, and it's definitely giving Ramsay Bolton vibes when he pretends to help Theon escape after they first capture him. And I know that sounds a bit dramatic because the girls are not tortured. It's actually like a fireworks display with performers. But Jon Hagen was the one that arranged this, and he was wearing a mask. So like I said, similar vibes. The man with the red mask, though, is the king's jester, Gongil. And it looks like he's going to be Gilgam's love interest in this series. He's also a spy for the king. So it's interesting. So Jon Hagen makes her cook for him again, And when I reviewed episode 1, I said I thought Lee Chae-min's smile was too much of a smirk and his face was too modern looking. But now I kind of get it. He's spoiled and arrogant because he's the king, so of course he's used to getting his way all the time. And then since this is a drama and it's not a movie, there's still plenty of episodes for him to change his ways. So the actor is doing a perfect job, and it was just me misunderstanding the personality and expecting him to be a good guy from the beginning, and that was the issue. So I'm sorry for that. This episode is called Hot Cuisine, and Jiang prepares 3 dishes that I would not want to taste it. The first is raw deer meat chopped up with a raw egg on top. And maybe it's fancy, but it's just not for me. Next is a pea soup, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with peas, but it's just not something I would choose from a menu. Last is grilled deer tongue, and when Jon Hagen tastes it, it reminds him of when he was a boy and his mother fed him. So he makes Jiang do the same. And one thing I really appreciate is the eye candy here. I now understand why they had to choose such a handsome king, because every time he eats, they do a close up of his face and lips. And yes, so during the scene, he asks her why she prepared this dish. She says she studied Jon Hagen and how she never expected she would actually get to serve it to him. And this is what confuses me because he asks who's Jon Hagen. So is Jon Hagen not his real name? And then what's his real name? But I'm just going to keep calling him Jon Hagen for now because that's what I've been doing before. Mokju tries to interrupt the meal, but the chief secretary doesn't allow it, and later he asks Ji Young to report everything the king says to him. So in exchange, he's going to be her ally at court, and she says she'll agree, but only if he gets her the handbag that fell over the cliff. Her thinking is that once she has the cookbook, she'll be able to go back to her time. So this, together with the next scene when the king's advisors ask him to bring old man Hong from exile and get rid of the Guinyo, which is Ji Young, just thickens the plot. Like, I'm pretty sure Hong is a good guy and the chief secretary is a bad guy, but now we have our main character Yeon Ji Young on what looks to be the bad side, even though she didn't plan any of this. So the politics is politicking. It's actually Mok Ju who got one of her court ladies to spread the rumor that Ji Young caused Hong to be exiled. Anyways, the king is not having it. He tells his advisors that he's not their puppet, and then Ji Young gets brought in, and the opening scene from episode 1, when he tells her she must prepare a new dish every day, and if she fails or he doesn't like her cooking, he's going to kill her. So that happens. And then Mok Ju is not happy with this. She goes to the king's grandmother to complain. They decide to hold a cooking competition to test her skills, and whoever loses the competition will lose their hand. And the next episode is called Spinach Doenjang Soup, and it's the cooking competition. I thought this was a great episode. There's 2 other cooks, and when it's time to get their ingredients, they make sure to take the most of everything and leave Yeonjiang with the scraps. But it's okay because she gets the chance to speak with the chief eunuch, and he explains the grandmother queen doesn't eat much. And when she first came to the palace, she was looking for a taste that's refreshing and savory, like the last dish her mother prepared before she left. Yeonjiang works out that the special ingredient must be clams. But when she tries to leave and get it, they tell her the time for selecting ingredients is over and it would be unfair to her competitors. So the king makes a new condition that she can get the ingredient she needs, but if she loses the competition, she must lose both her hands now. And I just love how confident he is in her abilities. The first cook makes dumplings with thin slices of fish and uses the doenjang in the dipping sauce. From all 3 dishes, I think this one I would actually try it. The second cook makes this clear tofu soup, and his presentation looks amazing. It looks like a charcuterie board. Sorry. And of course, Yang Jiang makes the spinach and clam doenjang soup that actually brings the grandmother queen to tears and wins the competition. The grandmother and Jiang beg the king to spare the other two cooks from losing their arms. The queen explains that she always hated that her grandson hunted deer because that was his father's favorite animal. And when she found out that Jiang prepared deer meat for him in episode 3, it upset her. But now she agrees that Jiang is a great cook and she trusts her to cook. The king spares the cooks and orders them to train from Yan Jiang. So he's still standoffish to his grandmother though, because he's holding that grudge from when he was a child about what happened to his mother. And I'm starting to think maybe his mother was the problem, because so far the grandmother queen and old man Hong, they seem like good people. The next scene further cements this thought. The grandmother is alone with the court ladies and they're speculating about whether the king might be suspicious about what happened to his mother when he was a child. The story they told him was that she died of illness, but they secretly deposed and poisoned her. So after that, Yan Jiang starts preparing the next meal for the king. He's apparently having a fit and throwing things, behaving like the Mad King from Game of Thrones. So she prepares comfort food in the form of doenjang pasta for the king, and honestly, it's the first thing she cooked that I wouldn't mind trying. The king asks about her family and she explains her mother died when she was young, so the king sees this as something that they both have in common. When he asks if she wants to send a letter to her father to explain where she is, she tells him again that she's from the future, and if she just had the handbag and the book, she could prove it. So the king says he'll ask his men to retrieve the bag for her if she can tell him his future. So she considers telling him about the Caption Literati, which is where Jon Hagen executes the officials responsible for his mother's death. And because of that, it causes a revolution and he's dethroned. But then she decides not to, because that might change the course of history. So Yan Jiang, in this whole episode with the chef, cook, clothes, and all of that, her new hairdo, she looks very pretty. And the next scene, Jon Hagen is writing in what looks like a diary, but with food drawings of basically what Yan Jiang cooked. He's reminded of earlier about the conversation that they had, that's, the book that's going to prove she's from the future, and what she called it, which is Mangun Rock. So he names the book Mangun Rock, and then it cuts to the cliffside. When the book from the future, Mangun Rock, it also lights up. So that's very interesting. He's actually the author of that book. The king sends one of his men on a secret mission to find out what happened to his mother, and the man was supposed to return that night with the evidence, but then he's attacked before he returns to the king. So Jon Hagen gets very drunk, and they call Yan Jiang to prepare something for him to eat. But then he pulls her down, and even though he's actually crying, he leans down and kisses her, which is how the episode ends. So that's their first kiss. So far, it's clear he likes her, but at the same time, she doesn't know or see him as a person. And that's just what it feels like to me. Honestly, I'm surprised how much happened between episode 3 and 4 alone. I'm also super depressed for reasons I don't want to get into at this time. So please do me a favor and like this video. Also, if you would like to see more reviews of this show from me, please subscribe and leave a comment as well. And thank you for watching. Bye.